G'day guys, Will here from Rosebud Mowers and Chainsaws and mowermerch.com.au. I'm here with another educational video as we try and do weekly. Today we have a SCAG Liberty Z 52 up on the hoist, and we're going to be showing you guys how to change your oil, which is something that you can easily do at home in your driveway. We're going to also touch base on a little bit of preventative maintenance and other associated things that come down to maintaining a zero turn. Here at the shop, what we usually recommend, guys, is doing two types of servicing. One is the preventative maintenance or at-home servicing, which we're more than happy to educate and teach you guys how to do. The other type of servicing is a major service or a shop-based service. The difference between the two is the preventative maintenance or basic home service is generally quite, basic oil change, etc., oil filter and air filter. A mechanical shop like us here at Rosebud Mowers, we go a lot more in depth, especially with transmissions, into transmission synchronization, transmission servicing, and generalization over the entire machine, from nut and bolt checks to bearing greasing to all sorts of things. Today, we're not going to get so in depth. We just want to teach you guys how to do an oil change. Super straightforward on these Kawasaki engines. They make life so much easier with an inbuilt drain. So all you really need is a 10mm ratchet, 10mm spanner, or a 10mm ratchet spanner or alike. You can either grab a bucket or an oil drain pan. And the other thing, which I did put somewhere and now I've lost, is a bit of garden hose. This just basically saves a bit of mess, especially at home if you've got a bit of a windy area. The fall between the outlet of the oil drain and the ground can be, about that. And if it's a windy area, the oil will blow everywhere. So basically using a bit of garden hose on the end of the drain spout will help as well. So join me on this journey today. I'm gonna get in nice and close here and show you guys what to do next. Come on in. All right, guys, we're back at it. We've got our bit of garden hose. We've got our 10mm ratchet here. Now, what we've already done is warmed up this engine, so it is at running temperature. This will make it a lot easier to drain. Draining cold oil is a pain in the ass. Okay, so what we're gonna do first of all is put our little drain tube. Again, I'm doing this for a good camera angle, so bear with me. It makes my life really difficult when I have to do this. So I'm gonna pop this drain tube, the one with the flared end on it usually, on, and it's gonna go on like so. Right, pointing down towards the ground. I'm then gonna move my drain tray in position of the hose so I don't make a massive mess. Now I am doing this a lot higher off the ground just to show you guys. Gonna take my ratchet and I'm just going to undo my oil drain spout here. Now, being careful when undoing this, don't undo it until the valve end comes out, otherwise it will basically spill oil absolutely everywhere, cause a massive mess. Okay, now as you can see, I am currently draining. Now, you might see in a couple of seconds the oil is gonna slow down. That's because the sump's basically causing a vacuum. So I am going to take my dipstick tube off, and it's just then gonna flow the oil out beautifully. Now, what you can see, and the reason why we are dumping the oil on this machine today, is the fact that it has been sitting around for a fair few months unused in the weather. And what happens then with engines is they build up condensation inside of the engine, causing milky oil. So that is one of the reasons why I'm actually draining the oil today, because we're trying to get this machine back into action for the customer who has pretty much neglected it in the rain all winter. So again, that's another reason why you could be changing your oil. So oil changes, frequency. We'll get down to that next once our oil's finished draining, and we'll also run through a few other little tips and tricks and parts that we can use as well. Alright guys, so whilst the oil is draining in the background, I thought I would just run through a couple of other things as far as ride-on servicing goes. Now, frequency of servicing. If you read your Kawasaki, Briggs and Stratton, Vanguard, Kohler user manual, they're all going to tell you basically to do an oil change every 100 hours. In Australia here, we go through some pretty harsh conditions through the summer months, and I sort of encourage regular oil changes sort of around the 50-hour mark. Considering how easy it is to change your oil, I don't think anybody has the excuse not to change it. Okay, what I would say is, at minimum, change your oil every 50 hours, and what then I usually encourage is change your oil filters every 50 hours, every 100 hours I will say. So oil every 50, and then on the alternate 50 or 100 hours, you're going to be doing your oil filter as well. Now with Kawasaki's, I always encourage using OEM or genuine parts so it doesn't affect your warranty. Kawasaki, Briggs, Vanguard, Kohler, they're all really strict on this. So if you want to keep your engine in warranty, use OEM parts. This particular Kawasaki behind me, we use the shorter, fatter oil filter, the largest type of Kawasaki fuel filter, and then we also use the large air filter with the extra pre-filter on it as well. And these parts are all available at mowermerch.com.au. So you have no excuse but to change this stuff on the rig. Now, let's say you don't have a SCAG, which is, I guess, sad for you, but you do have some other brand of zero turn that doesn't put drains on their engines. But look, most likely if you're running a Kawasaki engine or a Kohler or a Vanguard, they will have drains like this. It's more than likely on your ride-on mowers, so your tractor style, they won't have drains. On your Briggs and Stratton engines, probably one of the only ones now that traditionally don't put drains on absolutely everything. Some of the Briggs and Stratton have these little yellow drains on the side of them, and they're shite. They leak, the O-rings go on them, and they cause leaks of oil for days. It really annoys me. But Briggs do sell this little kit here. It is a large drain tube with a cap on the end of it that you can actually pop in your Briggs and Stratton engine. It screws in and then folds up to clip underneath your cowling. If anybody is interested in one of these, it's part number 494200. It's an awesome little mod to your Briggs engine if you don't have a drain on it already. Makes life super easy, and then you have no excuses doing oil changes. Well, let's get back over here and check on our oil situation, shall we? Okay, righto. Okay, guys, so we're back, and as you can see, we are pretty much down to the last couple of drops of oil coming out of this engine. So I'm going to remove my drain tube nice and gently, because we don't really want to make a mess, even though I probably am right now. Okay, throw it away. Righto, 10 mil. You're going to do up the end of the valve once again. Now, really critical with these Kawasaki drain valves is if you over tighten them, what you can end up happening is stripping them out, so be really careful. They don't need to be super tight, they've got an O-ring in them, so just firm. Now, when traditionally you're undoing them, if they're tight, you can actually twist the whole valve, which will cause an oil leak in the future. So I usually just grab it with my hands and just make sure that the valve itself is tight in there. If you need to, you can put a spanner on there and make sure the plastic locking nut on the valve is tight as well. It is quite common for these to leak, and they do come loose over time. So definitely chuck a spanner on there if you need to and double check it. Oil filter we are leaving for today because I want to do another oil cycle through this first, just to make sure I've got any of that condensation of that water out of it. So I'm not going to change that just yet. So now that that's tight, I can then add my oil into the yellow dipstick hole here. Really key point here, guys, is you want to shut the valve before you put the oil in. Otherwise, it pretty much goes in one end and out the other, which is not healthy for anybody to experience. So we're going to now get 1.8 litres of oil and dump that bad boy into the sump of this engine, and then run the engine up after adding 1.8 litres. You will find the specific unit of measure in your engine owner's manual. Okay, if you're not sure, a single cylinder will generally have about 1 litre to 1.2. A V-twin will generally have from about 1.6 to 1.8 litres. The Kawasaki's, depending if you're changing the oil filter or not, can go about to 1.9 as well. Okay, so I'm going to grab me oil container and my funnel, and we're going to add some oil and then we'll double check the level. Okay guys, so what I have now done is add 1.8 litres of 1030 engine oil into this Kawasaki engine. Now, as you notice, the dipsticks are white and I am blind. So if anybody has seen any of my previous videos, I dye my oil green. This is for a couple of reasons. The most simplest and logical reason is that on white dipsticks and in the sun, it's really hard to see clear oil. So I buy this special oil dye additive from my oil supplier, and it makes my oil really, really easy to see. So when I dunk it in, making sure that I do not screw the dipstick in, I repeat, do not screw the dipstick in. I'm going to pull it out and I'm going to have a look on my dipstick, and look how easy that is to see with a bit of green oil. It makes me so happy. And I am about 3/4 of the way up. So I'm going to add about another 100 ml. What I'm then going to do then is run the machine for approximately 2 minutes, okay, making sure that oil fully circulates throughout the machine, and then I will do one final check. Once I've done all of that, guys, I'll meet you back here. We're going to go through a couple of other preventative maintenance things that you guys can do at home. Okay. So whilst you are changing your oil, guys, it's a perfect opportunity to go over a couple of other little things. The first one being air filter. It's the most important thing on an engine. This one here is running an OEM style Kawasaki air filter, and we can just quite simply take this out with a little butterflied wing nut. And if you have an air compressor at home, blow it out. Now, the critical thing with air filters is don't put your air gun... What was that? Anyway, don't put your air filter directly in to the air filter, because you will open up the fibrous pores of the air filter, causing it not to filter as good. So hold it about 200 mil, 150 mil back from the air filter and blow out the chunks. Obviously take off the pre-filter to give it a good blowout. This one looks pretty much brand new, and I will double check that and make sure there's no large particles stuck in there, and we're good to go. But you guys at home, give them a clean or replace them if you don't have the capacity to blow them out with a air compressor. So, better filtration. Kawasaki, Kohler, Vanguard, we all offer a Donaldson style filtration kit. Okay, small and large. Okay, these two kits here are available on Mower merch, so you can actually upgrade your filtration for your Kawasaki engine with Kawa Kit 1, Kawa Kit 2, depending on the size engine you have. So if you guys are running the smaller engine like the 18 horsepower on the Liberty Z36, you can upgrade it to this much larger cyclonic filtration system and debris management. They sit right up here, it replaces the whole top cover. The best mod you can do. This will also go on like your standard B, 32s, etc. as well. And it is really a great upgrade for any of your Kawasaki engines that aren't running a Donaldson kit. For this particular 52 Liberty, it would upgrade to the largest style of Donaldson filter on the top here, again changing the whole top cover. These also run a really slick inner filter as well. This mod will simply add hundreds of hours of use to your engine. It produces such cleaner quality air and debris management and can save an engine over a long period of time. Otherwise, for preventative maintenance, guys, you can do simple things at home like spraying WD-40 or Inox on your throttle and choke cables to make sure they don't bind up and break. Obviously blowing off your cutting deck and keeping your blades nice and sharp. Okay, it's Will from Rosebud Mowers, mowermerch.com.au for all your spare parts needs. Have a ripper day. See you later. You good, homie? You sure? You sure? You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. We good? Sure? Can you see my head? Is that good?
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, fuck.